You call me a saint, but you know I'm a stranger, all willing and able to do what you want. You think I'm a thing.
All right, guys, good morning. Smarter Options. Just doing a little bit of pre-market here. Let's go check some charts and some setups. I'm going to go over one of my trade ideas with you guys this morning. That'll be coming up. We got plenty of time, but I think will be a absolute gold mine. So stay tuned for that. Okay. And we'll talk more about that. I'm going to be going over that gold mine idea several times over the next few weeks. So we'll get there. Okay. Hang on one second here. I'm just going to go pull up some of Dark Knight's plays from yesterday real quick, just so I can go over them. All right. So Dark Knight had a Tesla put from what day was that? That was last Friday. He bought a Tesla put. So let's go. We got Tesla up right here. Okay, so on Friday he bought that Tesla put. And he bought that at, when did he buy that Tesla put? Well, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Sometime in the morning, so at market open. Yeah, it came up right away, within 30 minutes of market open. It had hit this resistance, which is right. Looks like he bought it actually about 30 minutes into the market. I just pulled up his time there. Okay. So he bought it like right here, right? This resistance. Now, if you weren't using our charts, right, you guys could practice by just drawing this stuff out. And you'll see, you can draw these lines, right? And you'll see how much the price interacts with those lines. Every time you find an area where, and look right even right here, as it came down, it struggled, then it fell and recovered, came back up, touched again, resistance, support, failed, support, resistance, support, now resistance, right? Anyway, this is right where he bought it. Okay, we're going to delete this real quick and just add our indicator back. This indicator, guys, right? I mean, it's just finding, it's looking for multiple points of contact. That's what it's looking for. That's how I programmed it. I tried to program it so that we could you could add in other time frames on here, but because it's looking for these points of contact, that was harder to do than I expected. So I'm still trying to figure out how to program that, but I will look at it and keep trying to do that. I also have this set, so if the price is above these, they turn green, so that they show that they are now support. If it's below them, they turn red, so resistance. Okay. All right, but anyway, so Dark Knight bought right here. I've told you guys several times that whenever we break a support or break through resistance, right, we almost always come back to test. For when we break through a resistance, we almost always come back to test for support and see if it'll hold right here. We broke through resistance. This resistance held. We came back, verified support, came back, and then had to build strength. Actually, this right here, right? This is how cup and handles work. This is why cup and handles look the way they do. See, here's your cup, your handle, and rip. That is because, all patterns, right? This is why. They're going off support lines. We just give them shapes and names to help us kind of better recognize, just to help us better recognize and make it easier for us. But if you start trading all the time, you'll realize that it's just patterns that it's support and resistance you're seeing. Like, I don't even hardly see cup and handle anymore. I see these patterns all the time. Anyway, so there's that play. We'll pull up his next play from yesterday. Looks like he just bought, he had some Apple puts that were still from last week. We kind of already talked about Apple, but we'll go over it again here. last week we came up and like I said, talking about if a support or resistance is going to hold. So here we are at a support. No real clear sign here. I mean, strength died off, but there wasn't a real strong move here. Okay, which doesn't really, which is just that just kind of shows you. I mean, this is not verified either way because it could have failed here also. So this is more of like a wait and see moment right here. But with how weak that is, you would kind of think that the support was going to hold. Okay, as we came up and hit towards the next resistance, which we did gap up, right? But we started getting volume. It started uptrending right there, barely. That would have been hard to tell, right? Came up, we hit this resistance. Was that going to hold? You can see that we started losing volume on this candle. So yes, it was going to hold, and this started to turn. Okay, was this support going to hold? We're coming down. We had sell pressure. It failed. We managed along this one, right? But we're deep underneath the trend line here. You can see the MACD was crossing the 0 line. So once again, so we're coming towards, here we are at a resistance. Is this going to hold? Our MACD leader is already coming down. We've already had a crossover. It was not going to break through. Okay. And now we're coming towards that 0 line. The leader was already below the 0 line. Like I said, we got a couple different indicators here. Pretty easy to tell that this support was going to fail. Okay. And it's just kept going. Now, once again, not all the time, but here you can see it broke down, came back up, tried to retouch, failed, came back up, but bounces were getting sold quick, right? So it wasn't even coming back and making it all the way to the support or now resistance. Failed. And now we're coming back up and touching this again. Now, is this going to break through? We'll just have to see. It doesn't look like it's going to. It looks like so far this resistance is going to hold. Now that could change here going to the market. Short-term trend was green with volume going into close. Like I said, guys, this bright green means that there is buying pressure on the short-term trend. And then actually this turned from a dark blue to a light blue, which means that there is buying pressure on a longer-term trend. So it does this. We'll have to see what happens here, but this may, if that pressure is still going strong, this may break through and we may go up to the next support or the next resistance, excuse me. But like I said, but even if we get up here, just remember we'll come down and we'll test. So if it looks like it's going to break through, you could buy calls on this. And then you could buy puts right here because you probably come down and touch this again. Anyway. All right. Amazon, that's all his plays. Oh, he did SPY yesterday. Hang on, let's pull SPY. We were coming down. You can't see. There was like I said, this is only going back so many candles, guys. If you put it on bigger time frames, you could probably see even that one needs to go back further. Well, anyway, right here, you can see that there is resistance right here, support. Anyway, so we were coming down right here. Was this going to hold? It definitely didn't look like it. That's on the hour. Let's go back to the 10 minute. Okay. It's coming down. Yeah, we had strength. We had sell pressure, right? That was going to fail. Came down. It started to loop here. That's our bounce. Now, so far, it looks like it's got the momentum here so far. It might even break up higher. Okay, we'll see what happens at open. But this might start getting sold off. It just depends on how strong that bounce is. We talk about we'll look at SB here in a second. The problem, guys, with the market right now is everybody's buying puts, right? And we all think the market's going to go lower. Selling, sell, sell. I think what's happening is, we got going on here is market makers are buying some stuff to make things bounce. So that people will buy calls to even out the max pain. The max pain in a lot of stocks right now is higher because people are buying so many puts because everybody thinks it's going to crash this week. So I think market makers are trying to get this bounce to come back a little bit more to screw all the people that bought puts, get people to buy calls and level it out a little bit. SV. Silver futures. Yeah, so, and guys, like I said, it's going off of the best it can, but you can see there is also a support right here, right? It's not, the automated chart didn't find it, but you can see it's right here. We're starting to come down here. We're starting to get some selling pressure. As of right now, it looks like this support line is going to fail. And if that happens, you can see here, it's in a nice channel, right? Height of your channel is usually your target. Okay, so there's the height of your channel. That's your target 2. Your near-term target would be the nearest range. So you have 2 targets there, right? If this falls, if it does break down, first anticipated target for that would be down at like $25, which is actually this support area right here, right? And if the whole thing fails, your next target down would be a new low at 25.05. So 25.16, 25.05. Visa. Oh, sorry, Visa. I gotcha. Thought you were looking at silver futures. Yeah, right now it looks like, once again, there is a support line here, right, that is not showing up. The automated system didn't find it, but you can see it right there. You can see that there is a support here. There's also one right here. And actually that might be just kind of that might be the same support area, really. Anyway, right now we're trending up, and we do have strength in the shorter term and the longer term. This little pullback pre-market, I think, would be a buying I think the market will probably see as a buying opportunity, and I think you'll see this go back up. But not to say that it doesn't, not to say it has to, right? I mean, this happens sometimes, guys, right? So here you would have had every indication on the 20th, was really last Wednesday. This looks like it was going to fail right here. We're crossing down, zero line's crossing down. I mean, you did have this little bounce right here, so you might have kind of wondered, okay? But all this was just a bounce, an over-exaggerated bounce. Market maker screwing with us. People would have panicked. People would have bought calls, right? And then it just quickly reversed, and then it failed. Buying puts right here would have been absolutely fine going off these indicators, where you thought that strength was, like I said, this gives every indication this support's going to fail. And then it bounces like this. But overall, it still worked. You just had to be patient and wait the day. Okay. Once again, right here too. Originally, I mean, it didn't have a real strong move, but it kind of had early indications this was going to fail. But this over-exaggerated sell, it needed a bounce. Right now, I guess we just got to see what happens here. Blake, I'm not sure if this is going to, I'll have to look at open, but I mean, the problem is there's just not a real strong move here, right? This is leveling out. Actually, with this leveling out right here, we'll have to see. I mean, so these kind of conflict right now, right? This looks more like kind of this right here, or see where it kind of bounces here. This might get denied. We'll have to watch this at open. That's interesting. Like I said, it's giving indications of a breakout, but it's not very strong. So we'll just have to see what the market thinks going into open. Yeah, I just think, like I said, we got this bounce here. We had an over-exaggerated sell. You can see once again there's a long-term support resistance line right in this area. Okay, you got this little zone here to break through. The move doesn't have a lot of strength, so what we might also see, Blake, is you might see this, right, just need a little bit more time and come down here and then break out like our cup and handle pattern, right? So this is probably what I would expect right here. A little bit of a pullback, which actually we're getting pre-market, right? and then a boost up. So we'll watch that and see what it does. Facebook. Amina is short for Facebook. They tanked on their last earnings. Right here, right? I mean, why is that not pulling up anything further back? Well, anyway, I suppose because they changed tickers or they changed their name. That's weird. Anyway, you can see here, huge fall, bounce, fall. We are at a new low, and it's going to come back here. Same kind of thing that we were just seeing, right? I mean, actually, MACD, we're breaking up through here, right? This looks like we're going to break through this. If we break through this, your next targets would be 191, and then up to here to like the 199-200, which would probably be a resistance. That's a psychological resistance too, right? Those even numbers. Yeah. Well, as I said, they sucked last time. A lot of people made money off of their puts last time. I'd be interested in seeing what their max pain is. Hang on one second. Let's just pull up max pain for Facebook. See, this gives me an indication too that for next month, I think we're gonna go start getting rippy again. I mean, the SPX max pain has been right on for January, February, March, April, May, and this looks like, and Amina's been talking about a bullish div setting up. Well, the max pain agrees with her. Okay, let's look at Facebook here. That was the May monthly, by the way. SPX does monthlies. Yeah, Facebook's has a 200 max pain for this week. Apparently, a lot of people are bullish on this. There's 240,000 open interest, $200 max pain, which actually I suppose more people are bearish on it, right? So I mean, this is what I was talking about, where the max pains are all high right now. You go to Apple, they're high. Amazon, it's higher. Like everybody's been buying puts because that massive sell-off last week. So your max pains are all higher. Okay, because I mean, lots of put activity. So the more it falls, the more they have to pay out. Okay, 200 your max pain. So like I said, I think they're going to try and pump it this week, at least in the next day or two, to get some calls coming in, and then maybe they'll tank it. We'll have to see what happens once the ER comes out. Okay, I'm going to talk to you guys about my big idea now. All right, big idea is Amazon. Because, and I'm talking about a leap here, right? Not yet, I don't think. I might start taking starter positions here at some point, maybe after earnings. I think their earnings are going to do bad. I mean, so the reason that they blew here, let's just go back to their last earnings real quick. All right. Last time they surprised by 668%. And everybody was like, oh, they're doing amazing. This is because they bought a 20% stake in Rivian. And Rivian was up right here. Okay. So their numbers looked amazing. Now their estimate was 361. This is holiday earnings. Okay. 361. Well, just typical, like the market does. It doesn't think about shit. Well, now they have an 8.35 because it's been adjusted because of the previous earnings. And Rivian is tanking. I think their earnings are going to be disastrous. So I'm kind of waiting to do this leap idea until after this crashes. But my idea is, think about this. Amazon is going to be doing a 100 or a 20 for 1 split coming up here in June. Okay. That will take it down to what? So the stock is at 229 to 15 pre-market. Calculator. 29.15 divided by 20. It's going to take it down to a sub $150 stock. Okay. When we buy leaps right now, we can buy a year out leap, and we can buy a Amazon $5,000 call for, I just looked the other day, it was like $900 or $1,000 or something like that. I mean, the stock would have to almost double. And normally I would be like, well, that's kind of a dumb bet. Okay. But when they do a split and it's $150, all Amazon has to do is come back to 300. Now I get it's the same market cap, but it's going to open up a whole new opportunity of buyers, right? So my plan is to buy this Leap, and I'll post it in the room when I start taking positions. But let's just go over some stocks that have done splits in the last several years that are big stocks. Tesla being the first one. Okay, we're going to go to the daily chart. Oops, 2-day chart works fine. Okay, here's their split. Now, immediately after their split, they did a 5-for-1 split. Okay, this took Tesla at the time was, whatever. So I think it was like a $700 stock and took it down to $150 stock. Okay, they did this split. That is the split I'm thinking about, right? Yeah. Okay, anyway, so they did this split, a 5-for-1 split, and what it was able to do was, so here the stock is $500. Okay, by January, so this was August 30th, so you had 4 months. The stock was up from 500 up to 900 in 4 months. September, October, November, December, 5 months, excuse me. Those where I think a Leap would be an amazing opportunity for Amazon, because everybody's heard about Amazon, right? I mean, everybody wishes they were an investor in Amazon. If you had bought $1 of it back in 1999, you'd be a millionaire, yada, yada, yada. It's just like Berkshire A, right? I mean, as soon as Berkshire B came out, freaking price of Berkshire B skyrocketed right away. It's because the reason it doesn't happen is because Amazon, if I have $10,000 to invest, I'm not going to go buy 3 shares of Amazon, right? I'm going to go buy something else. But now if I can buy 50 shares of Amazon or 100 shares of Amazon, well, all of a sudden now it's different. Now I might go invest that in Amazon. Okay. Another one that split here was NVIDIA. Here's their split. They did a 4-for-1 split on July 21st of 21. Okay. Price right here, $189. That was July, August, September. Within 2 months, it was up to 229. So, and then by November, so 5 months later, it was at 335. I just think a split on Amazon is an amazing opportunity here. And if we buy, and it's not, they're not overpriced yet. So keep that in mind. Keep that back of your heads. I'm going to be buying quite a few of those. Just look at some other stocks here quick, see if we see any other setups. Oh, and just so you guys know too, right? Look at this. This works on every time frame. I mean, if we go to the 1 day, if you guys want to buy Leaps, which like right now I wouldn't so much recommend, right? But here we were at a resistance. This is in January. We're at a resistance. Okay. MACD leader was coming down. It was below the MACD, so that gives you an indicator that this resistance was going to hold. I mean, there was, like I said, this leader shows us the strength of a move. See how it starts going low here. I mean, so not only did this resistance hold, but then we had indications that this support was going to fail. We could have bought a put right here for 2 months out at 476, and actually in 3 weeks, you would have been down $50. That put would have paid off pretty nice. Those are some big moves. Nice thing about Leaps are, you don't have as much time premium, or there's a lot more time premium, so you got this time to burn, right? Or you got time to wait. Traditionally, the market's been like long leaps. Like if you did a leap here, right? I mean, a leap back in October, the prices of the stock right now is exactly the same. So it's not a good time for to buy leaps for growth purposes, but it's a good time to buy leaps if you see support or resistance going to hold on the daily chart. Okay. Even if you had bought right here, you know, it kind of looked like this was possibly going to fail right here. Even if you had bought puts right here on December 20th, if you had bought them enough time, by a month later, that was failing. Okay. And here, like I said, but the problem is once you got to here, and it looks like this next support was going to fail. You know, and it just didn't. As this started to come back up, that would have been your point to bail out on this. You know, that's starting to show that support's going to hold. Because there's a lag in this, because we're looking at the daily chart, it's not always going to be as accurate as when you're looking at the 10-minute, 15-minute, 1 hour. Okay. You know, was this support going to hold? You had your this was starting your short-term volume was the buy volume was not as much there, or the sell volume was not as much there, and your leader was above the MACD, which kind of shows you that there's not enough strength for that support to fail, and it held. Okay. There's a support line right here. It failed as indicated. Next one held again, and we came up and down. Anyway, lots of ways to play this stuff, guys. If you don't have as much time to look at it every moment by moment, like on the 10-minute chart, then go out to the 30-minute chart, go out to the hour chart. They all work. Anything else you guys want to look at this morning before we go? MasterCard, they have earnings coming up once again, and I would anticipate this to be the same for Visa, right? But now this gives me more of an indication, Blake, that the resistance is going to fail. I mean, it looks like this resistance here is going to fail. So with that, I would probably guess that Visa is going to fail also, and we're going to at least come back up to here as we get closer to earnings. We'll see what happens. Google. Yeah, let's look at Google here quick. That's a good one. Amina seems to think that Google is going to be one to beat their earnings, which is their earnings today? It is. Does anybody know, is this pre-market or aftermarket? It usually says. It usually gives like a little moon or a sun, depending on. Is it pre-market or aftermarket though? See, there's a moon. So it's probably post-market. It doesn't show here, but if it's usually post-market, I'm sure it's post-market this time. We had indications the other day that this was going to break through, and it got denied. Just like I showed you guys, though, a lot of times these indicators, even though it got denied here, right? These are still accurate. Just needs a little bit more time. I mean, it's just one more day, but it does. I mean, if you look at this MACD, the leader is coming back up. The MACD is coming back up. We're getting volume on the short term, and then the long term just started getting volume into the close on that last buy. I would bet we're going to break through. I think calls on this would probably be the right idea. Just looking at, I'm going back to Max Pain real quick. I'll just tell you guys what Max Pain for Google is at this week. Max Pain for Google is higher also. I mean, it's only $50 higher, but still higher. Lot more call interest than put interest on Google. 22,800 open interest calls for this week, 16,000 open interest puts. So 23,000 about to 16,000. Okay. I know you guys can't see that, so I'm just kind of telling you. Yeah, I think this looks good for a call. I'm gonna probably buy a call on this today and ride it out. I think that's gonna open up. I think that's gonna break through. Like I said, it looked like it was gonna break through here. This right here was, if anything, was a buying opportunity. Okay. Anyway, it does look like this is going to break through. Anything else you guys want to see? Otherwise, I can just kind of go down the list here, see if there's anything else. MES. MES is actually looking like it's going to fail this support right now. We'll have to see if that happens or not. But we're getting early indications here. I mean, see, it's just starting to turn orange, which is showing us that on the long-term trend that sell volume is higher, or it's got sell pressure, and then the short-term trend is bright red, which shows us that there's sell pressure on the short-term trend also. So this is definitely looking like this support is about to fail on futures. Netflix. You know, the weird thing about Netflix, guys, was I looked up the max pain on Netflix last week. When Netflix was at $347, max pain at the beginning of the week was like $250 or something like that, or $260, $270. By the end of the week, it was $240 because it was so deep in the money. But anyway, max pain for Google or for Netflix last week was a lot lower than the stock price, which was really good indication that this was. Strong indication this was going to happen, and we didn't capitalize on it, which I wish I would have. Like I said, I'm going to buy some Google calls today. Anything else you guys want to see? NVIDIA. NVIDIA looks like we're going to break through this. It looks like it's a day for calls, guys. It really does. I mean, all the indicators right now, long-term trend. I mean, the trend is moving, right? So, I mean, this shows you how much into the uptrend we are. Okay, so if it's way up here, I mean, it's looking back a short, or a little bit of a period. We were in the uptrend, high in the uptrend. As it gets near the zero line, for the amount it's looking back, that just means that it's in a close to flat trend. Okay, and then the colors give you indication of if there is enough buying pressure to maintain the trend. So, right here, there was enough buying pressure to maintain the long-term trend. The trend started to come down. There was still enough buying pressure, and then all of a sudden, we lost the buying pressure right here. And the next candle, look at that. So here, on this candle, right here, it was still bright blue. As soon as that drop happened, the bright blue stopped, showed that there was no longer enough buying pressure. I mean, it was all the buys were getting sold apparently, and then the buying pressure was gone, and then all of a sudden showed you failure. Okay, we had earlier indications of that failure with the MACD crossing down. Okay, MACD leader was below the MACD, and by the time it got to right here, right, I mean, we were well below and it's still heading down. That showed us that failure was coming. PayPal, which I can't believe how low PayPal is. See, PayPal's also got buying pressure on the short-term trend. And you can see that with this large candle going into close, but lots more green candles in here, right? The long-term trend does not have that buying pressure yet, but the short-term trend does, which the short-term trend just started here 4 candles ago. All right, but go back once again, and we look at, was this support going to hold? It sure didn't look like it right here. Now, this big drop can sometimes over-exaggerate these, so you might have wanted to wait. But as soon as it was, and even if we draw this out, okay, you can see that we had a descending wedge or a descending triangle right here, or wedge. Okay, you could either draw it like that, or you could draw it more like this, right? What this shows us failure. Okay, this is us. Usually when you break out of a pattern, you either buy as it breaks down or you would buy a put on the retest. Okay. So then we came down. MACD leader was above, so that kind of shows that this support was going to hold and not go anywhere. And now it's kind of trading flat here, but it does look like you can see it's picking up strength here. It looks like this support's going to hold and that we're going to reattempt, some more support lines here. All right. I started long-term just with Netflix, PayPal, and SQ yesterday is also being BBH. This is for retirement though. Yeah, no, I think that's, PayPal looks like it's going to be going up into earnings. Okay, and earnings for that is coming up on the 27th. So hell, that's tomorrow night. It looks like it's a week for calls, guys. It really does. Like I said, they're going to try and fake us out, though. I mean, the results on Friday will be, will show us, I suppose, but they're gonna try and mess with us this week. Whenever things look for sure, like I said, a lot of people were buying puts. A lot of people thought the market was going to keep going down. The selling pressure was there, but all the max pains are higher. Same thing with SPY. Right here, we had buying pressure and strength going into close. We're sitting here. You can see there is a resistance right here. And now we've pulled back in pre-market to right here. I could see this getting ready to rip and go once the market opens, but we'll just wait and see. All right, guys. Be safe. Trade safe today. Be careful. Like I said, lots of screw with retail investors going on in the market. I mean, look at the SPY yesterday. I mean, it was like up, down, up. What's it going to do, right? I mean, down, up, and then it went up into close. So, ironically, yesterday, max pain for SPY was at 432 or something like that. Okay, and the buys kept getting bought, even though it had selling pressure here. It kept getting bought. I'm not sure if that was the market makers or the market, but max pain was higher, and it came higher. Do you usually check unusual flow before opening a position? No, I don't really look at flow. There's so many retards. Sometimes, I take that back. Sometimes, yes, I do, but not every time. Really depends on what I'm buying and why I'm buying it. If I'm buying for speculation, then sometimes I'll look at unusual flow and see if there is maybe some insider knowledge there, right? Somebody else who's taking an unusual large position on one side or the other. Like I said here, let's go back to maximum pain real quick, and I just want to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about here. Let's look at Google real quick. Oops. Okay, I just told you guys I think that it's bullish this week. Well, look at this. So does somebody else. The largest, stocks at 2458, max pain's 2500, but there's 627 $2,400 puts, and there's 1,653 calls. Right at the money, right? This to me looks like some big fish think that Google's going to go up big. Okay. Let's look at Facebook real quick. See, I don't see that on Facebook. Now the max pain is higher, but really it looks like someone's doing a straddle on this, right? 225 and 150. And that's, about $30 on each side. So it looks like somebody is playing the odds that Facebook's going to get a big move. But I bet, a big chunk of these are the same person, and someone's doing a very large straddle. Okay, so Facebook is not as good. So like I said, but Google looks like it's going to be good. Let's look at Amazon real quick. Amazon for this week, which is their earnings. Is Amazon earnings this week, or is that next week? Hang on a second here. I'm just going to look real quick. Amazon earnings are, the 28th in the evening, right? So Thursday night. Okay, so let's go back to the Max Payne page here. Yeah, it looks like somebody thinks, somebody's got a bunch of calls at 2205. Or I mean, they've got 2,200. There's 2,200 open calls at $3,100, which is quite a bit out of the money for someone to have that many calls, right? Somebody thinks it's gonna rip up. And look at this. So this is Max Payne chart. This is how much they have to pay out based on the stock price, right? So if it's right here, they got to pay out. If it hits all the way down to 2850. They have to pay out $400 million. Now they have to pay out about $300 million anyway, but for the stock to move up is a lot easier. There's not going to be much resistance from market makers if it goes up. Now, if it starts going down, they're going to be hedging and they're going to be buying like crazy. Okay. If you go down to this bottom part down here, you can see this actually shows you the percentage that they have to pay as it moves away from the Max Payne. Right, so Max Payne is 30,045. If it goes up to 3,200, they're only paying a 39% premium. Okay, they have to pay 39% more out. A total of 361 million. Okay, but if it falls just $100, or let's just go down to 2,900. There's a 26% premium there. If it falls down to 2,850, they've got a 50% premium. Right, you can see how much money they have to start spending to hedge their bets. Okay, 260 million if it's right around 3,045. But to go up is not nearly as expensive for them as if it goes down. All right, guys, I'll let you guys go today. Good luck. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. I'm always around, and we'll see you guys in chat.
Bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my